Hello and welcome to HITC Sport. And so lads, it looks like at least 10 Premier League clubs are actively trying to get Newcastle's 300 million proposed Saudi Arabian takeover blocked. Alright, own up. Who are these people? This would have been the biggest Geordie cancellation since Brian sent those DMs. It's the biggest news story since Adele tried to cancel our KFC membership. Come on lads, Newcastle fans are beside themselves. They can barely contain their excitement.
Why not be excited and dream and think that one of these 5 managers could take over my club, Newcastle United?
Can we get some footage of some actually excited Geordies? I don't know why I'm talking as if I have any employees. But some Geordies are so giddy at the possible takeover, they've decided to run a lawnmower over their skull in celebration. You'd think after 13 years of being suffocated by Mike Ashley's sweat glands, forced to live in the armpit of Sports Direct since 2007, that other clubs would be happy for Newcastle. In the same way you'd be happy for an orphan to escape the basement of Joseph Fritzl. But let's see, let's look at the reason why every Premier League club might want to block this. Arsenal. Why would Arsenal want to prevent a financial makeover? Probably because that club has been ruined time and time again. Is it any coincidence that as soon as the money got pumped into both Chelsea and Man City, that Arsenal then went 15 years without a goddamn league title? Now they're currently stuck halfway down the league, so the prospect of another mid-table also ran, drowning themselves in oil money. Oh good Christ, the last thing they need is another big money competitor hoovering up the talent each and every summer. Arsenal fans are probably quaking in their boots.
Give it a few years, Newcastle are going to overtake us if we carry on.
See, if this takeover does go through, and suddenly Newcastle start bringing in the likes of Philippe Coutinho and Gareth Bale, Arsenal fans will probably just give up on football. That's it. Finito! Shut down the Emirates, reopen it as a local homeless shelter for the blind. These fans haven't seen a league title since the Friends finale, and if a club can go 13 years of Mike Ashley, get relegated twice, employ Paul Dummett for 9 years, and still be able to lift a Premier League title before you, oh good Christ, that's about as humiliating as getting married to Katie Hopkins. Aston Villa. I'm not sure why Aston Villa hate Newcastle, but they do. It's not as if there's any sort of geographical rivalry, and yet Villa fans despise the Geordies. Actually spending time to make banners mocking them for relegation in 2009 and 2016. That's what right did they have to mock anyone in 2016? They finished bottom of the league on 15 bastard points. Clearly Villa fans are just bored with some sort of deep-seated hatred towards all things Geordie. Christ above, they'd probably turn up with the set of ITV to chuck their yogurt pots at Anta Deck. Unless you spike the petty faloo with whiskey, leave Ant McPartlin alone. There's always been a futile debate between the clubs, angrily arguing over who's the bigger club. Lads, when you both won a combined 2 League Cups since the bastard 80s, it's like the Jedward twins arguing over who is the more punchable face. But should Newcastle drown themselves in a financial makeover, start lifting league titles, poaching the likes of Jack Grealish, Villa fans would probably rather swallow their own foreskin. I should really think before I start saying words. Bournemouth. Remember when Bournemouth finally hit the big time and yet still were forced to watch Matt Ritchie leave their club to step back into the championship with Newcastle? Is there a bigger insult than that? A fella who values job offers in the second tier as more lucrative than a top flight journey with you? It's like winning the lottery and yet your wife still walks out on you to shack up with the local postman in a 2-bedroom flat. You start to think, how ugly am I? It would have been a crash back down to earth. And so yes, just like a bitter and scorned ex-lover, I'm guessing Bournemouth wish nothing but the worst for Richie and his current employers. Brighton. Why would Brighton have it in for Newcastle? They'd probably say,
oh, it's nothing personal. We just don't want you to escape the relegation battle.
To be fair, they have a point. If another relegation rival suddenly coats themselves in gold, shooting 12 places up the bastard league, it sort of tightens the relegation noose. But no, don't get it wrong. This would be personal. Go back to the 16-17 season. Newcastle did not deserve to win the championship that year. Brighton were the better side. For Christ's sake, the Geordies lost 10 bastard games in the second tier. Blackburn beat them twice. A club with Jason Steele stuck in net. And yet Brighton, a club starved of trophies, essentially lost their chance of silverware due to a late strike from Mo Diame. Brighton clearly haven't forgiven the Geordies, and so any chance, any fibre of opportunity to drag them back into the abyss, clutching at their ankles like a drugged up zombie, oh you're damn sure they'll try and take it. Burnley. What do Burnley have against Newcastle? I can't actually think of too many. It's not as if this financial takeover would have an impact on their squad. Armed with barrels of oil cash, I don't think these prospective owners will have their eye on Phil Barnsley. I think you're safe. Offer these ambitious owners the signature of Jeff Hendrick, and it'd be like offering their true Geordie a salad. So why would Burnley want to oppose it? Well, maybe because Newcastle have only beaten them twice since 1982. Sean Dyche has taken 10 points from his last 8 meetings with the Geordies. He knows how to contain the likes of Christian Atsu and Matt Ritchie. For Christ's sake, his backline could probably defend against Joe Linton while half asleep. Nick Pope could inhale a bucket of petrol fumes 10 minutes before kickoff, spend the first half doing a crossword puzzle, the second half mowing his lawn, and he'd still keep a clean sheet. Give Newcastle Bale, Coutinho, and an actual centre forward with working limbs, and that's a guaranteed 4 points flushed back down the toilet. Chelsea fans will know all too well what a financial takeover can do for a club. Christ, we're not for a Roman Abramovich. That club would have lasted about as long as Rio Ferdinand's boxing career. Don't get it wrong, without his cash saving your club, you'd have gone the same way as Matt LeBlanc post Friends, i.e. living on his mother's couch, selling his toenails online. But the simple fact is that since the arrival of Man City as competition, they've not won as many league titles as they might have hoped. Throw in the added competition of Newcastle. I mean, look at their transfer targets. I mean, don't get me wrong, 80 million for an aging Koulibaly. I haven't seen anything so ridiculously overpriced since Belle Delphine's bathwater. But hey, this could squeeze Chelsea out of the top 6 altogether. Oh, by the way, lads, trying to afford your K as soon as possible. Actually, trying to hit it before the end of May. If you'd like to help out on that journey and somehow get this channel there, you'd be the greatest person of all time. Crystal Palace. What possible vendetta would Crystal Palace have against Newcastle? Don't forget, these sets of fans spent a solid 2 years bickering over the standard of Alan Pardew on Twitter after he walked out of Newcastle at Sellers Park in 2014, plunging the rudderless Geordies into a needless relegation battle before leading Palace into the top half to an FA Cup final, thumping the Geordies 5-1 along the way. Newcastle fans kept trying to insist,
oh, but Party was shit,
as they lay face down in the ditch with John Carver as boss. Everton. Newcastle and Everton fans aren't the best of friends. Let's be honest, it's mostly down to the fact that both clubs are frustrated sleeping giants arguing over who's the bigger club. It's been 5 years since Everton's billionaire takeover, and they've moved no closer to even licking a goddamn trophy. The last thing they want is another big money competitor to drag them further back down the table. For Christ's sake, they finished higher up the league with Marcus Bent up front. Leicester are currently 3rd in the Premier League, on course for more European nights, another Champions League campaign. They don't want anything to spoil this, but the arrival of Newcastle as a major player chucking cash around like confetti, it's a terrifying thought. Liverpool. Oh lads, imagine going 30 years without a league title. And finally, the second Liverpool get their hands on one, they get it slapped with an asterisk. Because of being forced to lift the trophy behind closed doors, Liverpool will be angry, desperate to win it next year and the year after that. So the prospect of another club threatening to take that away, to deprive them of future title celebrations, Liverpool fans would rather sooner make love to their uncle. Man City. Again, just like Chelsea, Man City know exactly what a financial makeover could do for a club. Without that, they'd be stuck halfway down the championship managed by Danny Mills. The last thing they need is an even richer version of them, swinging around their nutsack like a bowling ball. There's talk of Newcastle replacing Steve Bruce and Mauricio Pochettino. This is a man who's masterminded 5 separate wins over Man City. He's finished above them in the league twice. Considering City have already begun to stumble on trips to Tyneside, the last thing they need is him returning to the dugout. Man United. Putting it simply, financial takeovers, i.e. the effective cheat card in football, have cost Man United 5 league titles. Having finished runner-up to Blackburn in 1995, Chelsea in 2006, Chelsea in 2010, Man City in 2012, and Man City again in 2018. They are probably sick to the teeth of wealthy billionaires entering this sport, especially when their own owners have milked them like a cow for the past 2 decades. These foreign owners with a wallet bigger than a chaser's waistline have indirectly dragged Man United into mid-table. For Christ's sake, even Wolves, a former piece of relegation fodder, even they're breathing down their necks and threatening to overtake them. And so, with this club desperate to return themselves to former glory, already embarrassed by a 7-year league title absence, the last thing they need is Newcastle. Bastard Newcastle winning the league before them. I know plenty of Man United fans back in Ireland. They're already terrified by this possibility. They would rather drink a bowl of horse vomit than to ever contemplate this reality. They're almost trying to convince themselves in the shower.
It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
Yes, Andy Moore and Tom Cliff Burns. Yes, it is. Norwich. Pretty simple, really. If Norwich are granted a reprieve and allowed to stay up, they need to keep as many relegation candidates in the mix as they can. As a footballing team, they're streets ahead of Newcastle. In the 2 games they've played this season, they've dominated possession. 63% at Carrow Road and 57% at St James's Park. They have the beating of Newcastle, but not if they suddenly inject their squad with 60 billion. It's a bit easier scoring a hat-trick against a defensive Paul Dummett in it. Sheffield United. If Sheffield United had beaten Newcastle at Bramall Lane in November, they would currently be in the top 4. so they could very well have been cost Champions League football by the Geordies. The sight of John Joe Shelby strolling through a defence which had stopped playing, if that alone cost them the top 4, well, we all know Sheffield United fans hold a grudge. Southampton. Why would Southampton resent Newcastle? Maybe because it's the worst away trip of the bastard season, an 18-hour round trip up the sweaty M7 to be given a view like this. Half the players look like the f***ing Sims. It's a bit like paying top dollar for a seat at a 5-star restaurant, only to be served your main course in the f***ing attic and forced to eat your dessert out of a dog bowl. Pretty soon you'd wish them nothing but the worst. Tottenham. Let's be honest, Tottenham have not won a trophy since 2008. And even that was the League Cup, something that looks as though it was made in Toy Master. I wouldn't be surprised if it has made in China written on the bottom. This is their golden era, a period in the club's history where they need to start winning trophies. And so the prospect of Newcastle denying them that, they won't like it. Watford. I can only imagine the fans have been bitter about all things football since May 2019. After getting royally embarrassed in front of the watching world at Wembley, they've probably developed a sort of mentality where they wish nothing but the worst for every football club on planet Earth. They probably hope everyone gets relegated. I'd imagine a bit like Wayne Bridge in 2010, after being made a national laughingstock by John Terry. I wouldn't be surprised if he spent that summer wishing every other couple fell down a mineshaft. West Ham. Simply put, I would imagine West Ham fans are still bitter about Rafa Benitez rejecting them in favour of Newcastle. They also probably haven't gotten over the fact that the Geordies sold them a half-broken Kieran Dyer in 2007. If someone sold me a broken dishwasher on eBay, a machine that worked once every 3 months, I'd feel like burning down their house too. Wolves. Wolves are about to set up a dynasty. The greatest period in the club's history. Having been stuffed in League One, they're about to cap off the decade with a bid for the title. The prospect of Newcastle slowing them down would not be welcome. Anyway, that's the end of it, lads. What do you think? Let me know in the comment section below. Have I got this all wrong? Let me know if you enjoyed the video. Like, share, subscribe, and as always, I'll talk to you in a while.